Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame today for our latest installment of our Before the Snap series. If you're a first-time viewer and this is your first time checking out our program today, first off, thank you so much. You guys are going to learn so much today about careers in and around the NFL. And that's why we started this program, to showcase that there's more than being a coach, more than being a player, and more than just those normal titles you hear when you work in sports. So many great jobs out there, and I'm excited to learn more about a new one today. If you watched this program before, again, thank you so much for being a part of our programming. We could not do it without all of our viewers. My name is Jake Ray, and I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where it's our mission to honor the heroes of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence together. The values we promote here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame are commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. Not only do those values make our Hall of Famers great football players and Hall of Famers on the football field, they make them great men, great brothers, sisters, sons, whatever it might be. Those values can impact your life and truly make you a great employee as well. And you'll be surprised how many times you might hear these values pop up throughout our conversation today with our special guest. Now, before we do get started, I do have some thank yous I'd like to pass out. Our special guest today, Bianca Graves. Bianca, thank you so much for being a part of the program today and everything you do for the game of football. You might not know it, but what you do on a day-to-day basis truly makes the game what it is today and indirectly impacts us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So thank you so much for everything you do, making the game what it is, and for being a part of our program today. Secondly, I'd like to thank our teachers, administrators, educators, professors, anybody out there that shared this program with their students today. We want to thank you for just allowing us to be a small part of your learning experience. And then lastly, the students. You know, we say this every week. Without you guys, this program, we can't do this. And we always say it. Nobody wants to hear me. Nobody wants to hear Nathan ask questions. This program is here for you. And we can't stress that enough. This is a great networking opportunity for all of our students out there, whether you're in high school, college, or you're even a young professional. This is a great way to learn a little bit more about careers all around the game of football and get a chance to start to build your network. So like always, if you have a question, we're live on YouTube. Put that right there in the comment section. Nathan's out in our Gold Jacket Lounge watching those for those questions to pop up. We don't want to wait till halfway through. We want to see, be the first person, be bold, reach out, be that first person to ask that question. And as always, let us know what your name is, where you're sending your message from, what school you go to, and then ask your question. And we'll make sure we get our best to get those as part of the program. So again, I'm going to stress it. You'll probably hear Nathan stress it as well. Get those questions in. We want to hear what questions you guys have today. So today we are lucky and grateful to be joined by Bianca Graves. Bianca graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University, where she graduated cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts majoring in political science. I'm going to stop right there. Political science, working in sports. I'm sure we'll get into that, but that's another cool example of, you never know where your path takes you. 1 year after graduating, she decided to further her education and her passion for sports by attending Georgetown University, where she studied sport management. She received her Master of Professional Studies in 2018. Before joining the Rams, she worked at Octagon, a sports and entertainment agency, on the BMW account, as well as an event trainee for 6 months. She is currently an account manager on the partnership marketing team and in her 4th season with the Rams. And she started her journey in sports within the ticket organization, which we've said before. If you want to start in sports, that's a pretty good place to get your career started. So without further ado, I am honored to welcome our special guest today, Bianca Graves. Bianca, welcome to Before the Snap.
Thank you guys so much. I'm excited to be here, excited to share my journey and any tidbits that I can to help students or young professionals break into sports. So thank you again for having me.
No problem. And I think we got to start where the news is coming from. Rams, obviously, little in the news yesterday. Big signing of Odell Beckham Jr. to come out and join the team. So, we'll get into the career, but as an employee who works for the Rams, what is the atmosphere like? Was there a little buzz going around the offices yesterday or through all the online chats? And what does that mean, and how does it affect everybody in the organization, not just the football side, but the business side as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think the Rams have become that team kind of where we make those moves and everyone's kind of talking about it and it's buzzworthy. Just last week, we brought on Von Miller. So the momentum was still high from that. Odell coming on is a great addition to the team. He's a great receiver and think he'll do great things out here in LA. But for the business side, it's been a hustle since yesterday, since the news broke. A lot of interviews with him, a lot of planning. For me personally, I haven't had any partner calls since the news, but I'm sure he will be a hot topic as we talk about athlete endorsements and athletes coming on to support our partners. So it's exciting for us. Les Snead is a genius, if you will. So we'll see how it goes the rest of the season.
I'm sure it's super, super exciting. And you mentioned, partnership calls, and I just kind of want to dive in now to what, your job title, what you do. So what does the day-to-day life look for you as an employee of the Rams and with your current career?
Yeah, for sure. So I am an account manager on the partnership marketing team. So basically my day-to-day consists of a lot of meetings with different partners. My direct boss and we oversee about 20 to 25 different partner accounts. So just meeting with those partners, understanding their objectives and goals, setting up different campaigns with them, different creative plans. So a lot of that is planning and then executing, whether that's in the community or on game day. So through the off season, we do, like I said, a ton of planning. And then as we gear up to draft and training camp, kind of all those things come to fruition. And we just continue to build on that throughout the season. So majority of my day is spent in meetings or on calls. And then if I'm not on a call, might be out in the field at a community event or at a player shoot. So it kind of just varies day to day.
And I think it's cool. You hear about working, if you think, like you said, partnership, sponsorship, you're sitting in meetings with all these companies, working on deals, but you said it right there. You could be doing that. You could be out in the community. You could be doing A, B, C, D. So why is that? Do you enjoy that one, first off? And is that an important job, could kind of change up the job every day, so you're not coming in doing the same thing day in and day out?
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. I'm a creative, and I'm sure like you said, Jake, we'll get into it later, but I started out on the ticketing side of the house. And so for me, I wanted to be able to dive deeper into my creativity and my passion for the community and being able to be, I guess, more involved in a grassroots kind of way. So I truly enjoy what I do on a day-to-day. It can be a little cumbersome sometimes, just with so many partners and keeping up with all of those accounts, but it's a great experience. What I do allows me to collaborate and be cross-functional with pretty much every department within the organization. So it's an opportunity not only to grow within partnership marketing, but to also get exposure to those other departments and other kind of areas that we touch on as an organization.
And you mentioned a couple of times now you got your start in ticketing and kind of broke into the sports world there. And like we said, that's kind of the cliche, hey, if you want to work in sports, you got to sell tickets to get your foot in the door. And that's the path that you took. So it definitely, obviously, it paid off there in the end. What did you take away from that time spent working in sales and ticketing? And how do you apply those things that you learned there that you may have not even thought of were able to apply to your job now?
Yeah, so I came in as the ticket sales and member service intern in 2018 for the Rams. And so for me, a lot of what I do now is pretty much what I did when I was with the service team or the ticketing team. So managing relationships. So, although they were season ticket members, they are an integral part of the Rams organization, probably one of the most important pieces of the organization. And so being able to take those account management skills from the service department or the ticketing department and apply them to what I do now has been, a great value for me. Relationship building, honestly, is probably one of the most important things in sports. So whether it's networking or what I do in my day-to-day function.
And we know working in sports, we say day to day and everybody thinks, all right, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, in and out of the office. But working in sports, especially during in sports season, NFL season, it's, it's 7 days a week. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's always something to do, especially during the season. So, you say your day to day, what it looks like in the office, but when it comes to game day or you're approaching a big event, how does that change your day to day? And look at a typical Sunday game. What do you do? When do you get to the stadium? What's your job? Are you supervising the section? Are you with partners? What does your day-to-day look like on a specific game day?
Yeah, so game day really varies. It's kind of dependent upon whether my partners or partner accounts are in the building. So I will use last game as an example. It was the Isaac Bruce ring ceremony. And so we partnered with American Airlines to do some content on Isaac Bruce. And so the week leading up to the game, I was actually in Fort Lauderdale on the ground with Isaac and our media team. And so soon as we flew back in, started prepping for game day. And so particularly last game, we hosted quite a bit of accounts. And so that meant bouncing between suites on game day, checking in with these partners, making sure that they're one, enjoying their experience, but also, just having that FaceTime with them and getting to know them on a personal level. So I would say most of my game day is client relations, is meeting up with the partners. If I don't have a partner in the house, it's really just helping my teammates navigate whatever they're working on for that day. I would say time for getting to a game is really dependent upon activations within the stadium. So it could be a 5 p.m. game and I could be there as early as 8 a.m. Making sure that everything is loaded in properly and that we are getting our vendors credentials and making sure everything is seamless for game day production.
And how and I think is obviously great mention Isaac Bruce, great tie into to the Hall of Fame today. And it was cool to see some of the photos come from that event. We did a program with Isaac at the beginning of the school year, so it's cool to see him get integrated as a Hall of Famer. But you mentioned though you're traveling, you're on the ground, you're at media shoots, you're working with partners. How important is it to gain that experience and kind of grow your own portfolio? So you kind of see how media shoots run, how to work with partners, kind of what an event looks like. How important is it to come into a career well-rounded with a ton of different experience?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. For me, I didn't get that experience before coming over to the Rams. I didn't take an internship in undergrad or really even during my time at Georgetown. So I think if you can touch as many different parts of sports as possible before coming into an organization, that's great. But even if you aren't given or you don't have the ability to or the resources to, when you do get with a sports team, I think it is extremely important to try to get all of those experiences, whether that's in your department or you're reaching out to a department head just asking if you can, if you can assist in an event or a shoot or something. But yeah, if you can get as much experience as possible, I encourage you to do so.
And it kind of taking that same idea and applying it to students in college. When I was in school, I'm sure when you were in school, networking was the key point that's stressed to all students and how important it is. Something as people know is wish I would have done better. Nathan said it's something he wish would taken advantage of as well. But that same idea of gaining a lot of experience and talking to different people and going to these different events. How important is it for somebody in college who's just starting to grow their network? Watch a program like Before the Snap or go to a conference or take some volunteer experience that might not be fun. How is it important for them, for students in college to grow that network and start that networking process?
It is critical, honestly. I am just like you guys. I wish I did more networking as a college student. I know it can be a little scary putting yourself out there, especially to these to more senior professionals and asking for essentially their help or just some advice. But I think putting yourself out there will show them, one, that you have the initiative, that you're serious and you're determined. But it'll also allow you to build those relationships and to find people that do want to see you succeed. So networking, honestly, is probably the most important thing within the sports and entertainment industries. So if you have the ability to do so, whether that's going to an event, a career fair, if it's just being at your school's football games and basketball games and running into a recruiter or just talking to the head coach, the AD, whatever you can do to put your name out there, I would encourage you to do so. Branding yourself is extremely important within this industry.
I got a message from Nathan. We got some student questions on our live stream already, so I'm going to throw it out to the Gold Jacket Lounge here in Canton, Ohio, to Nathan Martin, who's got those questions from our students.
Yeah, Jake, thank you so much for sending it out here. And thank you for being a part of the program, Bianca. So far, it's been great. But now we're going to dive into what we're all here for, the students' questions. And our first one comes from Jess, who attends Bridgewater State University. They're a senior there. And real 30,000 foot view level question. What's the best advice you have to offer for someone that wants to work in the sports industry?
My best advice would be authentic, be true to yourself. When you are applying for positions, I would say make sure you don't have to know exactly what you want to do, but make sure you have an idea of what it is that you want to do or what your goals and objectives are. I think something I learned early on coming to the Rams is that when you start applying for positions, you don't want to just be all over the board. So don't apply for a finance job if your heart is not in finance and you really want to be in community. Kind of take a step back and understand what it is that you're passionate about, because when that opportunity comes, it's going to come fast and you're going to hopefully love it. So I would say that's probably my best advice.
So I got a personal follow-up there. You mentioned find something you're passionate about. What if I'm sitting here and I'm like, Bianca, what am I passionate about? Like, how can I figure out what I'm passionate about? What is some advice you would give to like figure out like, no, this is what I am passionate about?
For me, I know that I'm a creative. So if you have a creative mind, I would say look at those positions that are geared towards that. If you're very analytical, look at those positions that are geared towards that. I think with sports, especially coming in as an intern in ticketing, and Jake said this earlier, you have an opportunity to kind of bounce around or to understand what it is or learn about yourself and what you're passionate about. So I would say if there's something that you like now, if you're into film, figure out what applies to film within the sports industry. If you're into like I said, analytics, figure that out and what applies to that within the sports industry. So I think that would be my best advice.
Yeah, I think that's good advice because basically you're saying you got to go try something.
You got to try it. Exactly.
Yeah, go try something. And the worst case is you don't like it and you go, okay, I'm not going to do that again.
Next step.
And really, that's not even a worst case. That could be a good thing that happens. So our next question is from Anthony from Christopher Newport University over in Virginia. So we're over here on the East Coast, Massachusetts, Virginia, asking you on the West Coast some questions. And Anthony's question is, how much, and I've never seen this question and before the snap, so this is a new one, so good luck. How much of an impact do you think the business departments, the ticketing, the partnerships, do they have on the field product? Typically, we think of the on the field product impacts the business side. Do you think it works the opposite sometimes as well?
100%. I think what we do on the business side is extremely impactful for the football side, particularly within our community media partnership and ticketing departments. I think ticketing is kind of the easy one to see. Is you fill up the stands, the players feel good, they perform better on the field, or at least they're encouraged to perform better. Within partnership and community, you bring things to the players that they're excited and passionate about joining in on, so it impacts their morale on the field. So I think it's kind of a trade-off. We're highly impacted by what happens on the field, but I would like to believe that our players are also impacted by what happens on the business side.
Yeah, I love that answer. I love the way you spun that. And I would agree. I think what you're saying is true. The business side can have an impact to the on the field product, not the same as X's and O's and free agent signings, bringing in Odell, but maybe some of the stuff that you guys do on the business side makes LA even more attractive to somebody like Odell wanting to come play. Well, I can see over here the questions are rolling in, so I'm going to take a look at some of those, but I'm going to send it back to Jake until I figure out who's next as far as our students go.
Perfect. And shout out to Virginia if I could one time.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yes, Nathan, I was sitting here and I saw those fly in. So I'm like, I know Nathan's got some work on his end. And Bianca, you talk about that on the field success and the on the field product. And one benefit of working in sports is, get to be part of some pretty cool things. So kind of taking looking at your career with the Rams in sports in general, has there been a moment that kind of makes you step back and go, wow, I can't believe that just happened, or I can't believe I got to be a part of the said event, said moment, said play on the field? What would that moment be for you?
Honestly, it would be Super Bowl 2018, or excuse me, 2019, I guess it would be my first season with the Rams. I'm an intern out here on the West Coast by myself, and we went to the Super Bowl. And so I had the opportunity to attend the game. My family came down to Atlanta. And so it was just a great experience all around, being new to the organization and the organization honestly being new to or coming back to LA. It was a very fulfilling experience, something that I hope I get to experience again while at the Rams. But yeah, it was just a great journey and experience from beginning to end. So the games leading up to it, all the way through the flight back to LA. So I would say that's probably one of my most memorable experiences so far.
Well, I can tell you what, from the outside looking in, the Rams are really setting themselves up to try and make that run again with all the pieces they brought in. And that's cool because, it is very cool to be part of those moments. And a lot of those moments, that happen on the field, if they're a big enough moment, they end up right here in Canton, Ohio. And I do that cheesy segue so we can throw it out to our museum in front of some very cool Rams artifacts that we have on display. So I'm actually going to throw it out to Jerry Shockey, Director of Youth and Education here at the Hall of Fame, who's in front of some of those artifacts from, I would say he's a pretty decent player for the Rams right now. So Jerry, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Jake and Nathan, for sending it over to me. Bianca, thank you for connecting here today and just allowing an opportunity for students from all across the country to pick your brain and see, what your advice is, what your job is, and all those sorts of things. And some people might know this name behind me. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I want to welcome you guys here to our Pro Football Today gallery. And this is where we keep a lot of current artifacts. So even though Aaron Donald is not in the Hall of Fame, and I'll say yet, but he is in the Hall of Fame because his jersey's here. Obviously he's on the pace to, someday have a bronze bust here as well. But arguably the best defensive player in the game of football is Aaron Donald from the Los Angeles Rams. And he started his career by winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and a member of the All-Decade Team of 2010. This jersey behind me was worn by Donald in 2017 when he won his first Defensive Player of the Year. His resume already puts him in the discussion as one of the best defensive players, not only today, but in the history of the game. And so, Bianca, I know you get the pleasure of working for the Rams and seeing the greatness of Donald and the other players week in and week out. Now, we work a lot in our department with the CR directors across the National Football League. And so we know that there's programming going on in the community, and obviously you guys work with CR with sponsors and stuff like that. But do you guys in your marketing position utilize these guys to leverage sponsorships and ever actually in person, or they're maybe even pitching your proposal to someone, or maybe they're walking in the stadium with a big partner or something like that to help maybe turn to move the needle on that partnership?
Yeah, for sure. I think players are an extremely important piece to partnership marketing. We actually have a player partnership kind of department within the partnership marketing team. And so they really help us match our players to partner initiatives, whether that's in the community or a marketing campaign. And so Aaron or AD is extremely important to some of our partners in these campaigns that we have done. And so we try to leverage opportunities to work with them as much as possible. I think it really moves the needles with what our partners want to see and what our fans are excited to engage with.
Sorry, muting here, so we just eliminated the background noise. So thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you again for connecting in. We got students all across the country. So we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day here today, Bianca, to do this with us. So Jake, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for giving us a look into the museum. See some guests walking behind you there. Very cool look into it. An older Rams uniform, not the one like Bianca's got on today, not the new fancy colors, but still showcasing one of the greatest in the game right now. And Jerry talked about, using these players on the team, especially a guy like Aaron Donald, big name, big personality, to help, close some deals. But also you talked about getting involved in the community and seeing these players out in the community. So I'm sure you've seen the power that the game of football has had and what it can teach. So, we as the Hall of Fame, we're unapologetically football. We know there's so many things out there that you can learn from, but the game of football we think is very, very unique, and the message that it gives and the life lessons it can teach. So being involved in the game, what do you think the game of football means? And what are those life lessons that the game teaches to those who watch it, play it, coach it, work in it? What are those values that the game of football can showcase?
Yeah, I think kind of one of the main ones is teamwork and collaboration. Um, Obviously, football is a team sport, so you have to be encouraged to work with your teammates to meet a common goal. And I think that is a life lesson. For me, I work on a team, and so we need each other essentially to get our job done and to do it well. And I think you're going to need people throughout your life to support you and to encourage you. And so for me, football has really taught me that you can't do it all by yourself. You're going to have to lean on others for help. And kind of the other thing is that even if you lose, there's a lesson in losing. So on the field, you might not always come away with that win. And so coach, will come in and have a conversation and talk about what you can do better. And I think you can apply that to your personal and professional life as well. A situation may not go exactly how you want it to go, but you'll find a lesson within that to teach you something for the next time.
And you say all those things, and yes, they can be applied to the huddle, the locker room, the football field, but those same lessons, you can use at your cubicle, in the boardroom, in a meeting with your staff, your teammates. So I think that football is so unique, and to be able to see it firsthand, something I don't take for granted, because it's very cool to come into work every day and have those life lessons ever present, right in front of your eyes. And I'm sure that's the same working with, if not even stronger, working with an NFL organization. You talk about working with your teammates and trying to become the best team that you can be. And, the learning that you have learned in high school and college, once you graduate and get the job, just doesn't stop. You have to continue to learn to make yourself the best employee that you can be. So how do you, continually, to learn? Is it going to conferences? Is it watching YouTube videos? Is it talking to some of your teammates? How do you continue to try to make yourself the best employee that you can be?
Yeah, I use my teammates as a major resource for learning. I have two incredible bosses, if you will, managers, and they are always teaching me new things. I lean on them to learn quite a bit within the partnership marketing world and just in sports in general. And then also, like you said, tuning into webinars, just taking a chance or a moment out of my day to listen to others outside of the Rams organization, outside of sports. I think you can learn a lot through a lot of different industries. Picking up books, reading articles. So I would say those are probably my biggest resources to continue learning. So I encourage everyone to continue your education, whether it's formal or informal.
There's always something out there, whether it's, and I think the last 2 years have really taught us that we got to go out and find it, because it's not just going to walk right in the front door. You got to go out and find all those opportunities to learn it and better yourself. I got another message from Nathan. He said we've got 7 questions, so you guys might not see me for a while, but we're going to throw it out to Nathan and which that's fine. It's probably better. But we're going to throw it out to Nathan to get all those questions from the great students we have tuned in.
Thanks, Jake. And let's just get right into it. So this is Brian, Grand Valley State University. Might have missed the bio at the beginning, but Bianca, he wants to know, is this your first job in sports? And if it is, awesome. Tell us how you got that. If it isn't, can you kind of tell us some of the experience you had in sports that led to you working with the Rams?
Yeah, for sure. This is not my first job in sports, technically first job in football. So I started out with Octagon Sports and Entertainment, which is an agency. And I worked on the BMW account. So working in motorsports on one of their driving experiences. And I was an event trainee. And through that, I was offered some other opportunities to work on some other things that BMW was sponsoring. And so from there, decided that I wanted to work for a team. That was what I was passionate about. And so applied for an internship with the Rams. unfortunately enough, was given the opportunity to join the organization back in 2018. And then realized while in that role that my creative need was not being fed, and that I wanted to kind of switch to a position that would allow me to do so, but something that I was passionate about in learning through my master's program was sponsorship and partnership. And so kind of took a leap of faith, sat down with HR, told them what I wanted to do, and then connected with the VP of the partnership team and just told her, you know, I want to join your team. This is what I'm capable of. Walked her through a deck, and you know, she gave me an opportunity. And I am forever grateful for that opportunity, because now I am a manager, and hopefully will one day be able to call myself a VP of partnership marketing. So that is how I got my start in sports.
That's an awesome story. And I love actually hearing that your organization, you know, was invested in you, and they had that conversation, and you were able to tell them like, hey, this is where I see myself going. And they're like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And, you know, you were able to have that door open up because of their willingness to pour into you. Got a question. This is from Jesse again, and I think it's a good follow-up to what you were saying. Have you always wanted to work in football?
I have not. So growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. And when you're like 7, you don't know what that means. You're like, oh yeah, I want to throw on a suit and step into a courtroom and argue. My mom watches Law and Order. But as I got older, I realized law is quite broad, and decided that I wanted to be a corporate lawyer. And then as I kind of matriculated through high school, I was a track runner. And so when I finished my career in sports as an athlete, I realized like I want to be in sports. I don't know where I want to be in sports, but I know that this is what I'm passionate about. And then growing up, it was pretty much me and my sister and all boys. Every boy in my family played football. We loved watching football together as a family, and just felt like, you know, the game of football has so much to offer. So why not? Let's see where this takes me. So again, applied for that internship, and been working in the NFL for 4 seasons now. So I did not always want to be in football, but I pretty much knew I wanted to be in sports somewhere, at least by the time I was 16.
We could do a whole program on like the jobs that when you're a little kid you want to be. You said you wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a zookeeper. Jake, what did you want to be?
I was going to be a pro athlete. I'm the stereotypical, you know, I wanted to be a professional athlete when I grew up. Obviously, didn't work out sitting here talking to all you guys today, but yeah, that was my dream.
All right. Well, another question we got here, and this is from Bianca Graves. So I don't know if there's a relationship there. Maybe you can let us know, but wants to know some projects that you've got to work on, and maybe what's been your favorite project that you've got to work on working with the Rams.
Yeah, I've worked on a ton of projects since I started. So pretty much a project for every partner that I've been on, every partner account I'm a part of. So some of the cool ones that I've been a part of, last season when we kicked off the season and in the opening of SoFi, we did this massive Aaron Donald mural in one of our parking lots, did all these aerial shots, and it was basically like a, you know, welcome to the Rams house kind of thing. I think the one that I've had the most fun on is probably the Rams draft house. That was quite the experience. So we rented out this massive mansion in Malibu, and basically took a month to activate different partner activations and experiences for our fans. Actually did the draft from that house. So had a lot of different opportunities to get partners involved with that experience, and just do some really cool and awesome things. So it would take me all day to go through a list of different experiences and projects I've been a part of.
Yeah, that's some awesome experience. I remember seeing pictures of that draft house. That would have been really cool to spend some time there. I think it's probably out of my price range to rent that, but I'm not the Rams. Next question. This is from Thomas, who attended Virginia State University, HBCU. Loved the HBCU experience. And Thomas is just curious, do you know if the Rams are doing anything specific to maybe get some HBCU students involved in either internships, entry-level jobs, whatever it may be? I know that's been kind of a topic of discussion throughout the league in general. So just kind of curious with your knowledge and working with the team, is there anything going on in that department, that world?
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Thomas in Virginia again. Virginia State is literally down the road from Virginia Commonwealth. So kind of our sister school on the HBCU side. But I started out at a HBCU for undergrad. I actually attended North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. So HBCUs are an important part of my journey and my background. But the Rams, we are definitely involved with HBCU mentorship. Specifically on our football side, we have some fellowships with our player engagement department. And so the gentleman that heads up that department has really been building out that program. We're also, within the community, without sharing too much, trying to put together some additional initiatives to encourage HBCU students to apply for different positions at the Rams. Also building out some mentorship and professional development opportunities and working with HBCUs. So I'd say it's an important initiative for the Rams, but just trying to build out something that is impactful and that's sustainable, that will have longevity within the organization. So yeah, I would say we're moving in the right direction, Thomas.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't actually know that you started down there. So I try to do my research on our guests and come up with questions. So, sometimes there's things I just, slip through the cracks. Google doesn't have all the answers, I guess. So next question is from, and I'm probably going to pronounce the name wrong. So Anaya, I could have butchered that. I'm so sorry. They attend UCF, University of Central Florida, and they're curious, should they apply for internships if their resume doesn't have a lot of experience? Kind of like, where do you find that balance between, oh, I'm not qualified for this internship, I could never apply, versus like, you got to apply for something. So where do you find that balance, Bianca, when you're giving advice to students or maybe in your own journey?
I think it's all about the way you set up your resume. If you don't have that much experience within the sports industry that you think will propel you into a position, think about restructuring your resume. Talk about the things that you have accomplished or the skills that you do have. I also think it's important, since you don't have that experience that will be reflected on your resume, is to write an impactful cover letter to talk about what it is that you want to do within sports and what it is that you're passionate about, or how you could contribute even though you don't have that experience. Someone will see your resume and will want to take the opportunity to get to know you. And I think if you can get your foot in the door and get that first interview, that's your chance to explain your experience and how what you're doing now or currently or what you have done can be an asset to that organization.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice, and kind of just talking about the structure of the resume and the cover letter. I think sometimes as students, we get tired of hearing about that. We get tired of hearing about networking. We get tired of hearing about resumes and cover letters and the best ways to do that. But those things really do matter. I know we promoted the Hall of Fame internships, where we're hiring a big group of interns for next summer. And Rachel Gutting from our team told everyone watching, she reads the cover letters. She reads the resumes. It's not just, plugged into an algorithm. So a lot of organizations have someone that does that. So take the time to make sure that it's meaningful and it's not just thrown together without much thought. Next question is from Giovanni from the University of Kentucky. Sports psychology is Giovanni's passion. Where does sports psychology work in the NFL? Like, what advice would you give Giovanni to start their career?
So a little out of my wheelhouse, but I would say if you are passionate about sports psychology, start researching what those positions look like in a professional or a semi-pro collegiate setting, and see kind of where you fit in. I would say it definitely would likely be on the football side. I know for the Rams, and can't speak too much to what you're learning right now, Giovanni, but we have a sports psychologist who works with the players as well as staff within the organization. So I would say as sports is evolving and mental health is becoming a major topic within sports and for players, there's definitely going to be opportunities opening up. So I would just encourage you to continue to research and see what's out there. Also, if you're in school, so I would encourage you to, if you can, sit down with your athletic director to understand kind of what the positions look like at your university. That way you can kind of get an idea for where your path is leading you.
Awesome. Awesome. And then this is kind of a similar question, so I'll let you answer because I'm sure you'll have the answer to this. Anthony followed up from Christopher Newport University in Virginia. Passionate about writing. Where does that fall into the sports world? What's the department? Who should they be connecting with on LinkedIn? Writing, what should they be looking at?
Yeah, for sure. So writing, I would say you have a couple different avenues. You can be a copywriter. So working on our media side, you can go into corporate comms and communication, or corporate communications and PR. So that kind of, for us, the Rams, we have two sides of that. We have our football side, PR, and then we have the business side, communications. So I would say start reaching out to those individuals on LinkedIn for different teams, different organizations and brands. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for you there.
Okay, I was gonna send it back to Jake, but a question just came in that I really, really like, so I gotta ask it, and then I promise, Jake, I'll send it back to you. This is from Thomas again, and he said, with LA hosting the 2028 Summer Olympics, SoFi Stadium being involved with that a little bit, are you, in your position, the Rams, are you involved at all with, LA 2028, the Olympic planning? And then maybe just you can speak to the Super Bowl is going to be out in LA, Super Bowl 56. So does that change your job at all? Kind of speak these marquee events, both national and really international events coming to LA. How's that impact you?
Yeah, for the Olympics, not too sure what our involvement will be quite yet. LA is a huge market. So I definitely think as we continue to evolve the Rams brand, that we'll definitely have some involvement, not guaranteed or anything, but I think it would be a great opportunity for us to do some things, maybe not specifically with the actual games, but out within the LA community, encouraging people to watch, the Olympics, just trying to have some different events leading up to it. So I could see us definitely being involved in the Olympics 2028. But as far as Super Bowl goes, we are in full swing as far as planning and discussions. Fingers crossed we actually make it to Super Bowl and play in the game. But with it being hosted at SoFi, the partnership marketing team will definitely have some involvement. There's a lot of crossover between our team sponsors and our stadium sponsors. So what that looks like, not quite sure yet. But there will definitely be a lot of hands on deck from the Rams organization.
I'm sure that LA market's hoping for like a Chargers Rams showdown maybe in the Super Bowl.
Definitely. If that happens, then I think that takes us to a whole nother level in LA. I think it would be a great matchup, two great teams. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Bianca, thank you so much for answering these questions from our students. Students, you guys did a great job. Jake, if we get something else, I'll let you know. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. I will say you just stole my next question. So I had to scramble on my side to work with that. But related to SoFi Stadium, kind of a two-part question here. Being a part of the organization when the stadium opens, what is that like, especially on the partnership side? Because there's probably thousands of opportunities for partners to come on board with a brand new stadium. So what was that experience like for you? And how cool is it to kind of see it all fulfilled once the stadium was full of fans this year?
Yeah, so we opened SoFi 2020 season, and unfortunately, due to COVID, we weren't able to have fans in the season. So it was a bit of a different experience. A lot of partners didn't see the value in activating, within the space, just because fans didn't have eyes on their experiences or activations. So this year has been amazing to see fans come in the building and to have partners be able to do their activations, to have these experiences. I think it's been a very important part of my growth and development. Last year, we did a lot of things digitally. So we moved a lot of assets, if you will, to the digital space and did, series and different, Zoom webinars and stuff with our partners. But now that the stadium is open and fans can interact with these experiences and these activations, the value has grown tremendously for our partners. So I would say it's been great thus far. Our partners are always excited to come in and do new things in SoFi. SoFi is an incredible stadium. I would say the best stadium in the NFL. So there's just endless opportunity within that space. So always, our team is always looking for new ways to build on what we've already done, and make things innovative. I think we have the technology in a building that allows us to do a lot of things that other teams are not able to do.
Very unique part of SoFi Stadium, just like MetLife in New York, is, it's shared between two NFL organizations. So I'm sure there's pros and cons of both of that, but how unique is that, especially working with sponsors and partners? Because I'm sure both teams don't have the exact same throughout their entire organization. So how does that work on your end? And is there work that you have to do with the Chargers organization when it comes to stuff specifically with the stadium?
Yeah, so kind of how it works is we have our team partnership teams, and then we have the stadium partnership team. So those partners that kind of cross over on the stadium side and on both team sides, usually the stadium kind of leads those conversations, and keeps us in the loop between what the Chargers are doing, what the Rams are doing. So there's a lot of crossover sometimes, and then there's often times where it's just a Rams partner or just a Chargers partner. So it's a unique situation. Turnover for say there's a Sunday night game and then there's a Monday night game is crazy. I've seen it happen once. So I would say that the stadium has done a great job with managing both of the teams and the relationships there. I don't connect too much with the Charger side of the house, but definitely my more senior managers do. Picking each other's brains, understanding what they're doing so that we're not duplicating efforts, but that we're trying to have a bigger impact within the LA market. So yeah, I would say we have a great opportunity with having two teams in the building.
That's very cool because, like you said, immediately everybody's thoughts, well, they got to be always button heads about one thing. But it's cool to hear that, the powers that be are coming together. And like you said, the goal is to not compete, but to make that final product not only great for both teams, but for the community as well, which is very cool. And in speaking with you today and learning about what you do and your journey to your career, you can definitely tell that you have a passion for what you do. And, there's that cliche saying, you never work a day in your life if you truly love what you do. So why do you love working in partnership marketing with the Rams?
Partnership marketing has allowed me to interact with a lot of different brands that I would never have the opportunity to do so. So like the Nikes, the Pepsis, the Verizons, and from a corporate, level. Partnership marketing, I think, is just, like I said earlier, it's a unique position to be in, or department to work in, because it is so cross-functional. So I do have the opportunity to see what media has put together for a partner and be a part of those edits and that conversation. I have the opportunity to touch community initiatives and to build out community initiatives with that team and see those things kind of come to life year over year and just grow. So I think for me, it's not just, what I do in my day-to-day, it's what I'm fortunate enough to touch as well because of my day-to-day, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you talk about your career and all those things, and it's truly, like you said, it's nice to be able to love what you do because there's no stress coming into the office on a Monday morning at 9:00 or a Sunday game at 7:30 in the morning, or you're coming back to work Monday night, a late night for a late game. So it definitely makes that job the best that they can be. But like everything else, there are always changes that happen within a career, within a job, and how it's done. So since you've started in the partnership marketing world, how has that job changed? How has technology impacted? How did the pandemic impact that? And how have you taken all those things and tried to, at the end of it, where we're all now, make that your final product, your job, the best that it can be?
Yeah, so I think I touched on this a little bit earlier. COVID definitely had a major impact on partnership marketing. We weren't able to do a lot of things in person. And so that limited our ability to reach our fans in the LA community. But in working in partnership marketing, got to be creative, got to stay, innovative. And so taking what we would have done in person and doing it digitally, but being able to amplify it, because now kind of those hard costs or those dollars that would have been used to make something happen in person can now be applied to these social campaigns or to these media campaigns that we worked on. So I think the landscape of partnership marketing is going to forever change, just as marketing in general will, as technology continues to change, as trends continue to change. We will change with it. We'll evolve with it. I think something that I've noticed is particularly is in the social media space is like TikTok is a huge thing for us. So we're adjusting to that and bringing the partnership marketing space into that kind of digital world. So yeah, I think partnership marketing is an ever evolving space. So as long as the world keeps changing, we'll keep changing with it.
It's very cool because, you know, there always are some people that don't want to adjust. And you mentioned TikTok. I'm too old for it now. I don't understand it. But you talk that. So I'm sure there's organizations that have been around forever that don't understand that as well. But it just shows the power of the NFL and the power that the NFL club has, not in a negative way, but to not only grow their brand, but to grow everybody else along with them. So I think that's really cool and something that you probably get to see on a day-to-day basis, that realization, that aha moment when everybody at the end of the day, you know, takes that W and no matter what event, contract or anything that it might be. We're kind of getting towards the end here, and everybody knows if you watched the program before, Bianca, you said you watched some before, so you probably know what I'm going to ask. So many great little pieces of information today, whether it be about your career, how to get your foot in the door, obtain an internship, make your resume stand out, or even, you know, make yourself the best employee that you can be. But if we can sum everything up and you can leave everybody who tuned in today, even Nathan and I, Jerry as well, one piece of information to take away from the program today, what would that one piece of information be?
Be authentically yourself. Be true to you and what you're passionate about. Continue to learn about yourself. I wear a bracelet every day that is inscribed with "To thine own self be true." It's one of my favorite quotes, and so I wholeheartedly believe that if you are yourself and you exude confidence in who you are, that people will recognize that, and that you'll be given opportunities, or you'll be fortunate enough to sit in spaces where people can get to know about you, and ultimately it'll get you your foot in the door.
With that, we're going to wrap up this installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series today, featuring Bianca Graves, the manager of partnership marketing with the Los Angeles Rams. Bianca, again, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. I think all three of us have said it, but just want to echo it again. We know this is a busy time of the year, so we appreciate you taking time out of your day to hopefully teach the students who tuned in today a little bit about what it takes to have a career in and around the NFL.
Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed myself. I hope also that students learn something. I know I learned some things about myself today. So again, thank you guys so much, and looking forward to seeing the rest of Before the Snap.
Awesome. And before we leave today, as always, make sure you're subscribing to all of the Pro Football Hall of Fame social media channels. LinkedIn, which is huge for a program like we're talking today, Twitter, Facebook, the usuals, Instagram, YouTube. If you aren't subscribed and you're watching this now, click that subscribe button, turn those alerts on so you know when we're live every Friday here for Before the Snap. For all of our other viewers out there today, if you're a student and you want to learn more about the Before the Snap program, reach out to our education staff here at the Hall of Fame at education@profootballhof.com. We'll be able to answer any questions you might have. If you want to send some questions to some of our guests, we'll make a note of that. And if you want to learn when these programs are being scheduled and be the first to know, reach out to us. We'll add you to our list, and we'll make sure we notify you when those programs become available. Next week, Before the Snap, before we take a break for Thanksgiving, just like everybody else, we're going to have Jackie Pfeiffer Goodwin on from the Tennessee Titans down there in Nashville, who works for their game day, cheer, and drumline. And Nathan may not say this, but this might be his favorite program that we have all year. This is one he really wanted to do, really wanted to have somebody connect in on. So we're going to have her next week talk about all her job that she does there with the Tennessee Titans. And as we said at the beginning, you know, the game of football, it's an everyday job. It just doesn't happen in the fall. It doesn't happen in the Super Bowl. For us, the Hall of Fame, it just doesn't happen 1 week in August. It's a full year job. And I hope all of our students out there learn what it takes to have a career in sports. And hopefully one day we'll see you, maybe have you on our Before the Snap program. So from myself, from Nathan, Jerry, all of our staff here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you right here next week on our YouTube channel for the next Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap program. So thank you, everybody.